Hola y bienvenidos. NASCAR heads down south to Mexico City as we take on the track of the Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez. Join us on the back road as we break it all down for you. Stick around.
It's a non-points race, but it is a short race. Checker flag. That's all this race is.
Two from the States.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday or happy Saturday, depending on where you're listening, or happy whatever day, because you can listen to us all the time. Point is, this is the Backroad. It is In Between Media's NASCAR betting show. My name is Elliot Hicks. With me tonight, we got Seth Woolcock and Rod Villagomez for arguably one of the more exciting weeks of the year as NASCAR's Cup and Xfinity Series head south of the border to Mexico City for the Cup Series for the first time, for Xfinity first time in almost 20 years. Seth, I'm real excited for it.
Elliot, I'm just riled up to be here tonight, man. I've been practicing my Spanish for about the past month or so. I was down in the Dominican for a week, and, it's not the best. It's not the most fluent, but me llamo Seth, and me gusta making money betting NASCAR, baby. Let's go. I'm ready to go.
Mucho dinero, Seth. Mucho dinero.
Yes, there you go. Rod, how are you doing tonight, brother? And maybe a little of your Spanish can top mine once again here.
I blew it all out in the intro, so you got everything I know from. I mean, listen, I wish I knew more. I should know more, but unfortunately, I don't. But I'm excited. I mean, again, it's very rare that we get to actually unveil a new track, break down a new track for us, and for a lot of these drivers. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty, but that just brings a lot of opportunity for us to pounce on the books.
Agreed.
No doubt about it. Gracias to our producer, Nicolette, in the background, and gracias to all of you for watching. And por favor, stick around as we continue, as we go in the rear view later with the Michigan reaction and some news updates. I know Horizon Forecast, we will break down Mexico City and then give you our parking garage props for the Cup and Xfinity races, as well as a couple F1 and IndyCar bets as well. And hey, the best way that you can help us out, give us a like and subscribe. If you really love us, join the IBT Racing family. It is $3.99 a month or $36 for the year. That's less than $1 per race. The most important thing it does to help you make money each week is it gives you access to our exclusive weekly betting model powered by iFantasyRace.com. Ryan does a great job over there, and you can chat with him as well as all of us, as well as everyone in the IBT Racing family. Shout out to all of our members, including a new member this week. Shout out Pasta Pat. And that also enters you into memorabilia giveaways. Seth, we spun before the show for our Joey Logano autograph polo. Again, no certificate of authenticity with this one, but it looks like a legit autograph. And congrats to Trav on winning that one.
Yeah, shout out to Trav. Like, this is good karma coming back to you. Trav won the first giveaway of the season as well. And then he said, hey, I'm already in the IBT Racing family. Let's give it to the next member who joins. So, Trav, we appreciate you. Hopefully you'll accept this one from us. But, yeah, very, very cool. And, Rod, I don't know if there's like a Mexican folklore or something about doing something good and, good things happening to you. But that's what I feel like is happening here with our guy, Trav.
I mean, those type of stories transcend any sort of ethnic lines. But, yeah, there is. And, yeah, good for you. Look at karma. Always a good thing to not piss off.
Yes. And I also have to say, too, like Pasta Pat, he jumped in last week, I think the day of the race. And the dude was already, before we were going green, he was down the street buying some pre-rolls and also buying a pack of Busch Light apples. So I love that type of community, man. It was a lot of fun. That was one of the few races on Sunday that I got to sweat out with you live, Elliot. And I was typing in there, Buescher, baby. Buescher got out to the front. Elliot, let's go. I should have cashed out those bets while that was happening. But nonetheless, it was a rowdy and very fun Sunday that I'm sure we'll break down here a little bit later.
Yeah, man, you got to start watching these races live instead of DVR and watch them later in the night. Join us in there. I'm usually in there chatting. Rod can be in there throwing something in. It's a fun time over there. And it's a fun time for all the different ways of distribution. Again, shout out whether you're watching live or watching us back later. You can also stream the audio version over on Apple Podcasts and on FM radio, 101.5 FM, Talkin' West Tennessee, 8 p.m. on Saturdays. The links to all that in the episode description. And as Seth is cycling through them here, shout out to all the commenters. We had a couple more before the show. I'm hoping that
Oh.
they're populating back in. Not sure what happened there, but I think we lost a couple of the early commenters, but now we're getting them back in there. Shout out to everyone tuned in right away here.
Yeah, I don't know if it was this show or the Fantasy Football show last week, but I took a dig at StreamYard. I said, you double the price, you make these updates, and they're not great. And then today we just had a StreamYard blackout for about 5 hours. Like the entire Google Cloud was down, Spotify down. The whole world was seemingly falling apart right at our fingertips, man. And we had all these great comments from like 10 a.m. this morning. I was happy to get the stream up early so people could comment, tell us who they were picking. I don't know now. Can't see them. They disappeared right before it went live. But nonetheless, we do have Marcus saying, first, hi. I hope everyone speaks a little Spanish. We're getting there, Marcus. We're got to get on that Duolingo grind, I think. There you go. Predicting a Christopher Bell sweep in Xfinity and Cup. Hey, I'd be about that, man. Donald saying Ty Gibbs week. What's up, Donald? Good to see you, buddy. We also got Nick in the chat saying, what up? He's thinking a little AJ Allmendinger to win the Cup race. Also likes Kyle Busch and Dinger to win that race. And then John checking in saying Chase Elliott will win in the Cup. Very confident IBT family members here tonight, Elliott, and some very scattered all over the place family members as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Definitely some varying opinion in the chat, some varying opinion with us. Before we get to Mexico City, though, let's take a look back at Michigan in the rear view. Michigan, always one of those underrated places to go. We had the Truck Series as well as the Cup Series last weekend. The Trucks, it was a wild multi-overtime finish, the longest truck race by distance in the history of the series. Stuart Friesen breaks a 72-race winless streak. Fairly popular winner. I mean, certainly better than Corey LaJoie winning in front of the 12 fans, probably. The Cup Series, we had one of those. We had one of those good old-fashioned fuel mileage races. Gives you all that, the ball of anxiety at the end. Denny Hamlin ends up grabbing his third win of the season in that purple Yahoo car. An exciting weekend of racing all around, Seth.
Man, yeah, absolutely. I think that when it's all said and done, Michigan put on the show I think we all knew underlying that it could really have, right? I mean, first we start on Friday, such a thriller of a race. And like, before it got crazy on the restart where Frankie spun a little bit and kind of stacked the field up and Ross got spun, like it was enough chaos that was making it fun and interesting, but still had you on the edge of your seat. All I had on that race was Elaine Riggs top 5, and I felt like the swings of emotions. He was down in the order. He was nowhere close to cashing. All the chaos happens. He's top 5. He might win this whole thing, and then ends up outside the top 5. I was also thinking, hey, should I bet maybe a little Daniel Hemrick 30-1 outright, and then he was looking like he was going to win, and I didn't bet it, and I had some buyer's regret there. So just starting out on Friday night, Rod, I thought this was such a banger of a race, and really happy your Canadian friend can pull it out over Corey LaJoie, because we would have been on cold takes very, very quickly after our last week's diagnosis of that situation.
I kept trying to tell Cody, like, Corey LaJoie just tampered down, and he actually did for this particular race. So we were on that too. But yeah, my favorite Canadian that's actually from Canada winning the race. Listen, to me, this race, 9 cautions for 47 laps out of a 100 lap race, right? I mean, that's the tough thing to swallow when you're talking about, but boy, those 53 laps really provided some really quality racing when they were actually racing under green. And this was a bettor's nightmare because you never knew. The favorites were there, and then the favorites weren't, and then the underdogs were up there, and then the underdogs weren't. So it was a lot of back and forth in this particular race. And my favorite color is not yellow, by the way, and I didn't like how much time we spent looking at that color at the race.
Hey, yeah. When you DVR it, Elliot, you can just fast forward through all those commercials, baby.
There you go, Seth. You win on that one. You guys win on that one. Cup Series was also kind of a bettor's nightmare in a sense. But like I said, it was one of those old school fuel mileage races that wasn't necessarily set up by just the stages. It wasn't like a modern day super speedway fuel mileage where everyone runs half throttle and then you go. It was just good old classic Michigan fuel mileage. We had Carson Hocevar up near the front before he had a flat tire. He was going to run it anyway. William Byron runs out with a lap and a half to go. Ty Gibbs and Kyle Larson maybe save a little too much. Ends up getting Denny Hamlin to victory lane, as I said, for the third time this year.
Yeah, I mean, This, I would argue, and I thought nothing would top that Coke 600 that Ross took a couple weeks ago, back on Memorial Day. But this might have topped it, man. This was such a great race. Phenomenal finish coming down where Denny has to track down William Byron and makes the pass. Williams, trying to save a little gas at the end, can't even end up saving it. I know burned a couple people out there in the betting streets. But think about all the leaders we had. We had Carson Hocevar just after me and Elliott had the debate last Thursday, where I didn't know if Carson Hocevar could do that on a track like Michigan. It was a little bit wonkier than your traditional mile and a half. And he goes out, has a great race. Chase Elliott, who we were on the outright, at least for a minute, was up there as well. And he led 19 laps. Chris Buescher had an absolute rocket that we kept betting the Bushwhacker going into the race as well. So I thought it really played out how I thought, Elliott. The big thing was Denny Hamlin, I bet him 2 weeks in a row coming into that one, and I finally got away from him, and he cashed the outright for you.
Yep, got the outright for me. I still ended up losing a couple of bucks just because the unit allocation kind of messed up. And I had the Hamlin outright in the top 5, and thanks to the 24 for running out of gas, I was able to add to that a little bit with the Brad Keselowski top 10. Shout out RFK, all 3 of their cars in the top 10. And Logano over Byron. Logano had a miserable day. The speed charts in I think it was the last quarter of the race, whatever auto racing analytics normally posts, Logano and Cody Ware were way closer to each other than you normally would want, but ended up hitting that by the 24 running out of gas. How did your car do last week, Rob?
I mean, look, it ran out of gas. Literally, it did. As somebody with a Blaney outright, I was very, very disappointed to see that he had to pit when he did, because obviously he was on his way to a potential win as well, were it not for all the gas mileage. The one time I put any sort of faith in Carson Hocevar, and he doesn't know how to drive his car well enough to not blow a tire. All I did was take Carson Hocevar over Ty Gibbs. I figured that was a slam dunk, right? Nope. Ty Gibbs actually had one of the better races that he had in his life, and Carson Hocevar proved me right in every week before this week.
Yeah, that was one of my big regrets of the day, is not having exposure to Ty Gibbs in the betting markets. Played him in DFS, played him in my Fantrax fantasy league. So I was high on Ty Gibbs. It was just so hard to trust him with my money. But I think there's one thing I take away is that Michigan really is his best track. I know that rumor was kind of floated around there. Is it truly? I definitely think it is. For me, boys, came out in the green at least, almost 3 units up. Did get very lucky though. Chris Buescher just barely edges out Bubba Wallace, 2.5 units down on that matchup. And then my big gainer of the week, Elliott, the one that we are on opposite ends, Chase Elliott, who had no business beating Carson Hocevar in that race. I had 5 units down, a 10-unit swing due to Carson Hocevar running out of gas there. So that was a gift from the gambling god. So I'm thankful to leave a little bit up in that one.
Yeah, man, and at least I can feel good knowing I handicapped pretty well. I just needed to throw more than the sprinkle that I did on the Hamlin outright. But you have those weeks. Speaking of Denny Hamlin, the big story this week just dropped this afternoon. Denny Hamlin is not traveling to Mexico City. He will not be in the number 11. His 3rd child was born yesterday. He got his number 11 baby on June the 11th. But He will not race. He will hang back. He will hang back home. His wife's still in the hospital and everything. Congrats to him. But Ryan Truex, a big-time opportunity. He has been the main sim driver, the main sub-driver for Joe Gibbs Racing and Toyota. Gets a big-time opportunity in the number 11 this weekend. He's not necessarily a big road course guy, Seth. I feel like if only this were like Dover or something like that, you could really look at Ryan Truex as a potential underdog. I don't think he'll be in my card this week. Do either of you guys think differently?
No, not at all, man. And it'd be awesome if Ryan Truex actually had a little track time coming in this year, right? I mean, the guy was an absolute weapon. He had a win by Dover in the Xfinity Series last year. But this year, just doesn't have the seat time right now. He only has 1 race in the Xfinity Series all season long. And it was a run that didn't even last the whole race, I don't believe, as well. So it's one of those situations. He's got, less than 200 laps in the Xfinity Series this season. So no way I'm trusting him. And I remember I bet on him in Portland last year. Either faded him or backed him. I can't remember which, against a matchup against Sammy Smith. I think probably backed him. And was pretty consistent in that race. Wasn't bad by any means. Again, in Joe Gibbs Racing equipment, so in the better equipment in the Xfinity Series, and ran 5th to 10th all day. But I was fading Denny Hamlin coming to this, Rod. So I was hoping we could see Hamlin, because there were some nice matchups against him. Logano was against him, and Chastain, that I was about to just drink all the juice and pay up, because I think Truex could do better than Hamlin, honestly.
Yeah, for me, look, Ryan Truex, what he brings to the table is a warm butt in a seat at this point. And that 11 car, we've even seen there have been times where Joe Gibbs has struggled a little bit anyways. So you put a guy who hasn't, like you said, had a whole lot of seat time in a brand new track, in a brand new situation at elevation. I mean, top 10 for him. I don't know what his odds are for a top 10 because I didn't even want to look because I didn't want to get tempted. But that would probably be the only place where I would even remotely touch him if the price was right.
Elliott, like we haven't seen this guy in the Cup Series too since 2014. He had an attempted start in Daytona back in 2019, so it's been over 10 years. So, do you have interest in him?
No, I wouldn't say so, especially because you're right. The number 11 was already pretty far down the books. I don't know if the lines have been totally taken down and readjusted across the board. I don't think so because Denny was, I think, as much as like a 50-1 outright. He wasn't going to be a factor in this race. So I feel like Truex will probably run about just as well. He hasn't had the in-car experience, but these guys are in the sim all the time. He's been their main guy. And Hendrick Motorsports will be dealing with a similar situation. Alex Bowman is going to attempt to start the race weekend, had that really hard hit at Michigan last week. But Anthony Alfredo is the main Hendrick sim driver. He'll stick around after the Xfinity race on Saturday. If need be, he'll be a substitute option if needed. But yeah, in terms of Truex or if Alfredo ends up in this 48, I don't think there's betting upside, but definitely something to watch. And if they do offer you ways to fade these guys, it's probably not a bad idea.
Yeah, man. Shout out if Alfredo does get the start. That's a good look for him, right? Like I think Anthony Alfredo's a scrappy guy who's kind of hung around for a while. Honestly, didn't even know he was the Hendrick sim driver at this point. I knew he was last season, but I didn't know he came back for that. So that was pretty cool. And shout out to Bowman. Hopefully he's okay, man. That was a tough look for your number 48 guy.
Yeah, it's been nothing but tough looks for the 48. But again, glad he's all right. Glad Denny Hamlin is going to be spending some time with his family before going to a track at Pocono, where hopefully we will get the chance to talk to him there. We'll have boots on the ground at Pocono for the third year in a row. That's going to be exciting. One more news topic looking ahead to next year. Sorry, we had to double click on the graphic there. Ram, Dodge, under the Ram brand. Stellantis is the owner, I think now. Anyway, you will see Rams back in the Truck Series in 2026. That's official. The rumor is that Garrett Mitchell, better known as Cletus McFarland, could be one of the drivers in that car. I certainly think there will be other drivers and other teams. I think they said they were looking for around 4 to 6 trucks next year to be a part of it. The fourth manufacturer is back, and here Dodge continues its yo-yo in and out of the series. Rod, do you have any ideas of who might go to Ram? Or this is definitely an exciting move for sure, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, if Cletus is there, somebody just posted his interview from Daytona on my timeline on Twitter, and I got to tell you, that dude is electric every time he opens his mouth. So I want to see him driving a Dodge Ram. Nothing's more American than Cletus McFarland driving a Dodge Ram.
I just gotta say, like, I'm really excited. This is great for NASCAR. This is incredible. We've needed this fourth manufacturer to step back into the series. We've got kind of some rumblings off in the distance. Maybe Honda still interested as well. And maybe Ram, which is a separate entity, well, kind of, I guess, of Dodge. It's still owned by Dodge, but they market it as separate. But and maybe it opens the door for another Cup Series team coming. So that's great. Just the rollout, though, of this thing, super, super sloppy. We had Michael Waltrip, who didn't stay true to the embargo that they had on this right now. Like, media members were not supposed to talk about it until Sunday. And then how they rolled it out was kind of cheesy as well. We had the leak earlier in the week on Twitter. So just kind of very sloppy. I know that's like nitpicky, but Elliot, you and I being someone, and Rod, of course, as well, Nicolette, people who play the part in media and content creation and marketing, definitely a little bit of a letdown with how that all happened.
Yeah, but hey, it'll all be forgotten as soon as they hit the track at Daytona. Again, if Cletus McFarland is out there, that will be good. They also will want to be with a couple of teams and drivers who have a chance at winning races and get a championship and aren't just there for marketing, even though you definitely do have to have the best of both ways. It's like we're seeing with Tricon right now, where you have Tony Brightinger with the good marketing, bringing money in the door so that you can fund Corey Haim's truck to go win races.
Does Haley Deegan come back? That's the question.
Maybe. You want to talk marketing? I mean, she's a second and a half off in every Indy next practice and toward the back at all those races. So maybe open wheel's not her future either.
Yeah, that's actually a really good look, man. I didn't even consider someone like Haley Deegan. I thought maybe like I don't know if Brent Cruz is technically signed to everyone. I know he has a connection to Kevin Harvick, who has a connection to the Rackley boys as well.
I think that Cruz is in the Toyota pipeline. He made a start in the number one at, I think it was Wilkesboro. He made his debut in that number one Tricon truck.
Okay.
I like where you're going though. Ram definitely. There will be people that they can scoop up that are half decent.
Butterbean
over.
Butterbean's tearing it up right now. Even Lawless Allen, I think, needs another look. And that's a guy I used to give some absolute heck and grief because he was spitting out every weekend. But he's doing great in ARCA, too. It's really him and Butterbean who've been two of the great surprises down in that series. So maybe one of those guys, Elliot?
I like where you're going with it. It's going to be really exciting to watch as we prepare for 2026 with Ram coming back. And it just feels right. Like I said, the goal, or like you guys said, the goal is to get back to Cup and have a presence across all three series. But this feels right to have those Ram trucks out there with the Silverados and the Toyota Tundras and everyone else. It is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else is going to be fun to watch is this weekend in Mexico City. Let's start to look ahead to the horizon forecast.
Hey, Michael, it was only 20% chance of rain. I think we got all 20.
So for this weekend on the entry list, the Cup Series, you have your 36 chartered cars as well as Catherine Legg in the number 78. I know the hauler process was crazy at Michigan. They had to have U.S. Customs seal all the haulers before the race on Sunday. So good for Live Fast and BJ McLeod. So they weren't at Michigan, but they were able to get their car to Mexico as well. The Xfinity Series has a ton of special entries. They'll have a total of 39 cars. All of them will make the field. One of them added in via it's not the OEP, but an extra rule NASCAR added in so that nobody would go all the way down there and miss the race. That would not be a good look. The 45 right there, Brad Perez, Sendero. That car is going to look pretty good. Brad Perez, a good road racer. Daniel Suarez, the fan favorite, win the Quaker State number 9. Josh Bilicki will be in the 14. Ty Gibbs in the number 19 and Christopher Bell in the 24. Naturally, Gibbs gets the JGR ride. Bell has to go race for Sam Hunt. That's neither here nor there. Road course favorite Austin Green in the Jordan Anderson number 32. Sage Karam, a guy with open wheel experience in the 53. And a second Mexican driver in the field, Andres Perez de Lara, will race in the number 91. We do have rain tires for this weekend, people. Of course, it was pouring down there earlier if you guys have been watching the content from the track. Rain definitely in the forecast. They have 6 sets if needed for the weekend, 5 earmarked for the race. And in terms of the schedule, we had some late breaking info throughout the day and within the last hour this coming out that NASCAR is considering moving the practices for the Cup and Xfinity Series from Friday to Saturday because there are some industry folks, some Haas folks, drivers in the Xfinity Series, Austin Green, Ryan Ellis, some Haas factory team guys. Sam Mayer's among a Haas crew that is driving to Atlanta to catch a flight and show up there at around 7 a.m. local time if everything goes well. NASCAR is coordinating all the travel. They had a plane, 2 planes, I think, that had some incidents. Everyone's good, but they didn't want to keep them flying with some problems. So still some things to work out there. But as of right now, we are scheduled for 2 practices for each series tomorrow. 105 is supposed to be a Cup practice, then 205 for Xfinity, and then some happy hours for both of them, or happy hour-ish. 3 o'clock and 3:30 Cup and Xfinity getting back out there. Schedule as of now has a 10:30 a.m. Qualifying start on the CW app for Xfinity. And then at noon for the Cup Series, a couple of NASCAR Mexico events sprinkled in late Friday and mid-Saturday as well. We get to the Xfinity race currently scheduled for 4:30 on Saturday. The Chilango 150, 20, and 25 laps, your stage lengths there for the Xfinity Series. And then on Sunday, the Cup Series at 3 p.m. on Prime for the Viva Mexico 250, 20, 25, and 55 laps. The content that I've seen from the track, it looks like it's going to be a real fun ride down there, Seth.
I think this is going to be an electric factory, man. I think with the success of the NASCAR Mexico Series, it kind of just blends itself perfectly into this. So I think those fans are really going to get up. I'm excited for that. And speaking of planes, I have to know, like, is it an a-hole move to clap when the plane lands? Because I started clapping. I haven't been on a bunch of planes recently. And me and my brother, when we went down to the Dominican a month or so ago, started clapping. And everyone just looks at us. And our wives and fiancés did not like. We were made out to be the bad guys. I just appreciated the pilot getting us down nice and easy on a big Frontier bird there. So, Rod, are you clapping on airplanes when they land, or is that just a bad look?
No, anymore. I think you should clap because just what's been going on lately. Making it to the ground is a big deal anymore. But I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a little groggy, or I don't know. I want to get off the plane. Like, I don't clap only because I'm just like, get me off of this thing already. I'm happy, yes, but I'd be happier when I'm off on the ground.
Yeah, I would say that it's the people who don't fly very often who generally are more apt to clap. It doesn't happen with frequent flyers, I'm sure.
Do you consider yourself a frequent flyer, Elliot?
Not at all, but I've been most of my flights in the last couple of years have been for work trips, and not a single one of those people in the royal blue and gold that I'll fly with is clapping.
Well, let us know down in the chat. Let us know. Do you guys clap for planes landing, or am I just an a-hole? Like, let us know. Maybe we could actually start a poll for that too, Nicolette. And by the way, I want to see the results. We did put a poll in earlier. Who you guys think is going to win this race? We have a couple of the favorites or an other. So let us know as well. We want to hear from you down there. But Elliot, let's go ahead and break down this track. What do you say, man?
Yeah, no doubt about it. The Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez hosted a couple Xfinity races from 05 to 08. But now back in the fold with the Cup Series.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It's a 2.42 mile road course, 15 turns. A lot of debates on the internet how many turns we're looking at, but it is 15. I can confirm that. The primary comps to this, while it's going to be one of the hardest to handicap all season because we don't have the data, not only from Mexico City, but also we've only been to one road course this season. So the projections this week, they could go haywire because we just didn't have a lot of numbers that we're pulling from, a lot of variables this weekend. Primary comps, Watkins Glen, Sonoma, Coda, Coda's the big one with already being there this year so far. Secondary comps, Chicago, that Charlotte Roval as well. And then, Elliot, you had a couple trends in here as well. As most trends we can get. Xfinity winners from 2005 to 2008. Truex, Hamlin, Montoya, and Kyle Busch. Of course, not Ryan Truex, though.
Yeah, that Martin Truex Jr. in the inaugural race there in 2005. I think that your primary and secondaries are pretty solid there, Seth. The traditional road courses, including with Coda also being kind of an F1 track that we share with down in Mexico City, with Chicago being a street course and then the Roval being the Roval. Driver Average is one of the sites that we can look at for some of our stats sometimes. They completely separate the road course and the street courses. Rod, any track that you're looking at more so than others, or mainly just Coda because we've already been there this year?
Well, the only problem with that is that Coda's got elevation changes. Sonoma's got elevation changes. This track is primarily flat. So it's not, the only elevation is really just how high they are up there already. So it's not as if you can say this is a 1-to-1 comp. So I'm just sort of looking at the Watkins Glens of the world, the Sonomas and the Codas in that, how do you handle the technique of the left and the right turn? Because obviously with the elevation changes that are occurring on those tracks, it still makes it a little more challenging than just a flat track where you're making a lot of turns. I know Portland for Xfinity, but I mean, that's kind of what, that's Xfinity. That's not trucks or anything like that.
Yeah, the Cup Series, you don't really see that. Breaking right now from Bob Parkhurst, they have changed the schedule for this weekend. Again, some Xfinity teams have not gotten here. So what will happen now? Friday, the NASCAR Mexico Series race number 1 is 11:30 a.m. I think it's only on MRN Radio. I don't think there's a live stream for that. 2 NASCAR Cup Series practices will shift to 2:05 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. for Friday. All Xfinity activity is now Saturday. The NASCAR Xfinity Series will hold a 50-minute practice at 9:05 a.m. on Saturday morning. The qualifying will be held at 10:10 a.m. Cup Series qualifying is now 12:05 p.m. on Saturday. And then you fit in, I believe the race time stays the same. And then the second Mexico Series race will move, I believe, to after Xfinity gets done. So schedule change is official there. Throw out what I just talked about 5 minutes ago because now it's been updated. And that's good because, again, NASCAR was kind of coordinating all of the travel for this weekend. And they had a couple of situations and they've remedied because of that.
Yeah, it's hilarious. You just get through talking about all that and then it just gets flipped on its head.
That's why I wanted to check. I wanted to make sure everyone had the latest breaking information here.
No, that's good. Good Big J journalism from you, Elliot. Shout out to a couple people here in the chat. Nick saying favorite dark horse pick is Tyler Reddick. I wouldn't say that's a dark horse at all, but yeah, I'm with you there, Nick. I'm high on Tyler Reddick. Definitely playing him in fantasy. Trying to maybe find some ways to get exposed from in the betting markets as well. Kush crushing some tequilas tonight. What's up, Kush? Good to see you, buddy. And Matt Jones saying the stadium section is dope. I haven't seen the stadium section, so
It did look really cool. So they have, I don't remember if they're racing through it or not, but they do have a little baseball stadium that is kind of within the track limits there.
Do they really?
And
Wow.
there's a section where I think it's heading into the final turn where there are two sets of bleachers and stands on either side of you as you race through the middle of it. So that will definitely be really cool. I believe that's what they're talking about with the stadium section.
Very, very cool. We don't have an iFantasyRace.com asterisk mark driver of the week, but I did just want to shout out Ryan, iFantasyRace.com, everything they're doing to get us ready for each and every race weekend as we approach it here on the back road. One thing I did want to note, in addition to those winners in Mexico City, we do have some other drivers who've at least touched grass there. If you want to call it that. Brad Keselowski, he's raced twice in Mexico City, finished 8th in 2008, engine failure in 2007. Also, AJ Allmendinger, he's raced twice here in kart, back in that Sears, 2004, 2005, podium finish in each of them. McNasty, he won here previously in 2005, the NASCAR Rolex Grand Am Sports Car Series. And Mexican native, of course, Daniel Suarez, he's also been here. However, he's a 3-time winner, but it's always come on the oval configuration that's a mile. So, a little bit of factor in there, Elliot. But to me, I did factor this in a little bit to the betting model. I gave him maybe a point for some of these. I gave Hamlin a little bit more, Busch a little bit more because they've actually won here in the past. But everyone else, I thought it was just nice that Ryan kind of, did the deep digging, who's digging through kart stats? Where I don't even know where you get kart stats at, but that's the good work they do over there at IFR.
Yeah, and I think it does make sense to kind of include that. But in the post-race last week in Michigan, both Denny Hamlin and AJ Allmendinger were asked about their past experience there. Denny Hamlin says he won't be racing here anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But his experience in the sim, it was like he was never even there. And AJ Allmendinger acknowledging that kart stats from about 20 years ago are not all that relevant to Cup Series stats today. What would be fun, though, if this turns out to be a success and there's room in the schedule, let's do the Mexico road course one week and then the oval the next week. Just keep everyone down there, have a nice little hangout. You get the travel down there, get 2 races in one, maybe even if you want a little weeknight doubleheader action like we had back in the fun times of 2020. That could be a fun little move.
May I add one that's also been there too? Catherine Legge has raced in Mexico.
Oh,
yeah.
And what do we know? What series is it? F1? Obviously not F1. Indy.
No, it was one of the lower series as well, and I think she even has she's a victory in one of the series as well. So yeah, it's Catherine Legge is a veteran of this area as well.
Okay. Well, Elliot, what is her main discipline background? Do you know?
Mostly open wheel racing. She's had some IndyCar, Indy 500 experiences recently.
Was
she in the race last year, even, Rod, the Indy 500, or was that 2 years ago most recently?
No, it was 2024. That was the last.
24, Yeah, so she's also made Xfinity starts back in the late 2010s as well. So it's, of course, we know that it's been a struggle for this year, and it's going to be a struggle in the Live Fast BJ McLeod Motorsports car. Give me the over-under of 36.5 finishing position. I'm probably taking the over. But it is nice to see some variety of racing disciplines here. It's nice that both Suarez and Andres Perez will be involved, the 2 hometown drivers. They'll be getting the loudest cheers, I'm sure, through that stadium section come Saturday.
Dude, and Catherine Legge, great interview. Very knowledgeable about racing. I think this chick is for real too. It's been a tough go, like you said, man. You know our affinity for Team Live Fast over there. Great human beings. Love everything they're doing, even in the post Matt Tifft era. But Catherine Legge definitely coming in at a disadvantage. Doesn't have a lot of track time in the Cup Series car. You don't get a lot of practice anymore either. So kind of figuring out on the fly. But I'm here for it, man. Would you guys be opposed to getting Catherine Legge either full-time Xfinity or Cup one day, or are you not here for that mess?
See, I wouldn't be opposed either. And it does seem like that the ELF, Eyes, Lips, Face, however you pronounce it, that brand is definitely interested in backing motorsports and is backing her in rides she thinks she'll be successful in, or tracks that she'll be more successful in than others. So that's been nice to see. It just takes a lot of money for a full season ride.
Yeah, true. Let's see it, Kat. I'm here for it, babe. Let's go, Catherine Legge. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm here for it too. It's great to see money in marketing, and anybody that wants to come race, we love to see them race. And we will best believe, I had that DGen group bet for the back marks of the Truck Series. We will throw bets on them too. And the practice will give everybody a little extra help. We'll start to break that and everything else down in this week's Parking Garage Props. Any big time impressions stick out to you, Seth, and then Rod on the books this week?
No, not really. Like, it was nice. I thought they had the outright odds out pretty early this week. I think they knew there was going to be a lot of attention drawn to this race, so that was really cool. And no, nothing really. I thought that honestly they were pretty fair this week. I don't have any huge complaints other than pretty hard to get invested with Connor Zilic over there in the Xfinity Series, which I would love. Minus 1,500 for a top 5 might be the shortest odds I've ever seen in my life, Rod.
We're talking Max Verstappen type odds, man. I was looking at that going, are we betting on F1 or are we betting on NASCAR? I don't even get it. No, what I love though is that the books have no clue what the heck they're doing this week either, because there was like a huge discrepancy between some top 5, some top 10s. Like you were getting sometimes plus 50, 50 or 500 to 1 on one, and then 25 or 20, 250 to 1. It was a huge swing between books. So a lot of these handicappers were like, I don't know. And you could tell the ones that wanted the action because they were the ones giving you the much, much better odds on some of these guys than some of the other books were out there.
And that is the beautiful thing about it, because we take those numbers, we try to find the edge, and we try to make everybody money. I've got a pair outright, so I'll lead it off so that we can kind of stagger things here, right? I got to go right back to Coda. And who was the best car at Coda but that number 8 of Kyle Busch? We're still waiting on him to get back to victory lane. And this number at 16 to 1 is my favorite outright number of the week. SVG's outright number has been hovering anywhere from plus 275 to plus 350. That's really tough to bet by itself. And I know that some of these other guys are risky. We'll talk about some more of those later. I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll look right back to that Coda race and keep the faith with Rowdy. He ranks P4 in our model, the top of the model this week, as you'll see in the article that will come out tomorrow, where we break down how the model is set up, as well as the top 10 and some extra picks. The way it's set up, everything's pretty close at the top. So Kyle Busch, very good, very respectable numbers. Keep in mind, he's the most recent NASCAR winner here, all the way back in 2008 in the old Xfinity car, going way back. But like I said, great race at Austin in the spring. And with RCR, he's been way better than you would expect on road courses. I remember the first year of the next gen, it felt like every road course in that last year with JGR, that every road course Kyle Busch was hitting something or running into some trouble. But it's been way better since going to that number 8 car. He's got 5 top 5s. He's 7 for 12 in top 10s, and he has 3 podiums. And we will be having a podium celebration this week too, which I know Michael McDowell was a big fan of. Each of the top 3 will get recognized. That will be neat. And for Kyle Busch, I'm just glad he's able to be down here. We had a certain situation a couple off seasons where we thought maybe the man might not be able to make it back north of the border, but everything is good. He'll be down there this weekend, and give me Rowdy to be the hero in that 8 car and finally make it back to victory lane.
Dude, I actually think this is a pretty good number. I don't know why I didn't give it more of a look, because you're dead on, man. The thing about Kyle Busch that's very intriguing here is really has one of the best average finishes here in road courses in this era since 2024. 9th at Coda a year ago, comes back in Coda, finishes 5th this year, almost wins that race. 9th at Chicago last year, Sonoma 12th. Like, he had that one terrible run at Watkins Glen last year, but aside from that, he's been bad fast. So I'm about it. Do you have any thoughts on Kyle Busch here after being first in average running position and driver rating at Coda, Rod?
My only problem with Kyle Busch is that it's Kyle Busch lately. Like I get all of his
That's
stats
fair.
and I get everything, but the only problem that I have is that I know when you start to get in your head as a race car driver, and when you start to drive with less discipline than you're used to, bad things happen. And I feel like that's what's going on with Kyle Busch. He'll pop up and have a decent day, but he's not looking like that Kyle Busch that you know is going to win a race at some point this season. Now you're just kind of holding your breath and saying, can he finish in the top 5 this year? Can he finish in the top 10 consistently this season? This isn't a race-winning car, in my opinion. However, caveat, brand new track for a lot of these guys, brand new situation. Maybe this is just enough to get him through the finish line. But I mean, for me, it's like me and Kyle Busch, we have this relationship now.
And maybe we've reached that era where you have to bet Kyle Busch almost like a road course ringer because of how good he's been. The ovals look a lot different, but the road courses certainly look a lot different. As with your outright, Rod, that I am squad rating on, I almost spoiled it. I like this guy a lot, but I wanted to give him to you because I knew that you would have this car as your outright for the week.
My spirit driver. Nick is saying AJ at 12 to 1. Go look at FanDuel, AJ. He is 14 to 1 over on FanDuel to win this race. Look, it's AJ Allmendinger, right? I mean, we can talk till we're blue in the face. If you know NASCAR at all, you know AJ Allmendinger, one of the most prolific road course drivers in Xfinity history. the probably most prolific driver in Xfinity history, and has done very well for himself over in the Cup side of it as well. AJ Allmendinger on road courses in his Xfinity career, 42 races, 3 wins, 9 top 5s, 22 top 10s. His average finish 15.6. He had a loose wheel at COTA earlier this season, which sort of downed his day. But it's AJ Allmendinger, right? I mean, you give this guy the opportunity. We talked about, carts don't count. I get that from 20 years ago. And he's right. I mean, this isn't anything you can compare to anything, but the elevation, right? He's driven in this elevation a few times. He already has at least a little bit of a clue of what he's up against and knows what he has to do. Now, the only thing with AJ Allmendinger is you got to keep those emotions in check, and you got to be able to roll with the punches no matter what happens. If your power steering goes out, if your power suit goes out, like anything that AJ Allmendinger can run into, he's probably going to run into in this particular race. So the quest for AJ Allmendinger this week in particular is just to stay sane for the amount of laps it takes to get the 100 laps that it takes around this place. And I think he's going to be in contention for the win at the end of the day.
And that's a great point on Allmendinger, and I do like you bringing up the emotional fact, and I think that's a reason to add on to this AJ Allmendinger bet. In the past couple of years, he's gotten either the part-time runs on road courses or when he's not been running very well on the Cup side, and he just knew the cars probably wasn't going to be good enough to get the win. Either that, or they would even in the Xfinity side would get frustrated because SVG probably got the better equipment and the extra funding over there. But we've seen Allmendinger contend for top 5s and top 10s more often than usual. Ran really well at Homestead, which has been a good next-gen track for him. Had that P4 run at the Coke 600. The only real blemish we've seen is that a motor that blew in the first 5 laps when he had no speed at, it was either Kansas or Texas, I believe Kansas. He was very upset, but since then it's been all up for AJ Allmendinger. And like I said, Kyle Busch is my favorite number of the week. AJ Allmendinger might combine with my favorite number and favorite driver of the week, Seth.
It's so like 2 things. First of all, conditioning. I do not question AJ Allmendinger at all. This guy, like, if we were to like power rank, and maybe we should sometime, maybe that should be a different episode of like
season content idea.
Like most yoked NASCAR drivers. I mean, he's up there, dude. Like, I would not want to get in a tussle with AJ Allmendinger. I think some of these, I think most of these NASCAR drivers would probably whoop my butt, but, 5th in District 9, PIAA 2016, wrestling. I'm a little scrappy guy too, but
maybe you'd have a shot against the driver of the 54, but other than that,
I was about to say, I think Ty Gibbs and I would be a nice little match there. But regardless of how yoked AJ Allmendinger is, it's just you trust the equipment. That's it. Because I don't know what happened at COTA. He finished 30th. I can't remember off the top of my head. That's not great. But at the same time,
loose wheel.
Okay, loose wheel. Okay. But then it was a couple weeks ago, Ellie, he was really high up in our projections the week after Charlotte. And I wanted to bet him. I saw him plus 425 early in the week. And then that got bet down to plus 230 really quick. You still jumped on it. I didn't. And then what happened? AJ Allmendinger, he didn't blow up, but he had some issue, right? He got like, what was it? He got sent to the rear after practice and qualifying. They tried fixing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, when he had the inspection issues that really messed with the car. Yeah.
So like, there's just too much of that. There's too much of that for me to want to get invested with AJ Allmendinger. Minus 175 for a top 10 at DraftKings. If they maybe throw out a little boost this weekend, I could get that closer to minus 135 after P's and Q's. I might be interesting. But he's on my radar, but I just need to see. I want to see the car after practice and qualifying after what we saw a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, man, I don't blame you. I know the colored equipment can be suspect. It's been better this year. Shout out Ty Norris and all those guys. But there's one guy definitely will be happy. At least in my assumption. I don't know what his relationship is with Kaulig. I don't want to put any words in anybody's mouth, but the guy that is happy to be in that number 88 this year and is definitely big time excited for this weekend down south.
Yeah, let's fire it up. It's my Seth's big time summertime parlay of the week presented by Busch Light Apple, of course, unofficial. But again, if you're over there at Busch Light Apple, Anheuser-Busch, you guys want to sponsor, maybe the 10th to 15th most popular NASCAR betting program out there, we got you. Even a little discount. Because
what's most important is we're on the upward swing, just like Busch is in the American beer market.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, let's keep the good times rolling out here. But I wanted to get invested with Shane van Gisbergen, SVG as we call him. But plus 350, just too short. So I'm going to parlay that with my favorite Xfinity Series bet this week and roll with it. SVG number 1 in the projections with a 94% IBT grade. I wasn't expecting that. But at COTA, he didn't have a great unit underneath him, but he still had the second best average running position, 3.9, and driver rating at road courses since 2024 as well. Top in the total speed rankings by a pretty wide margin. 7th in average finish as well. And that's despite getting taken out in a monsoon at Chicago last year by Chase Briscoe. I thought about maybe for the second leg, I'd go out. I'd go with the chalk and go Connor Zilic on the outright at even money. That's almost what I did. I might still, do that too. But we have that generational future ready to cash. So I'm just going to let that sit and simmer this. Yeah, cross your fingers. We've been so dang close so much. But instead, give me Chris Bell, minus 115 for an Xfinity Series top 5. Bell is 3rd in our model. We're not going to probably talk a lot about him, but we should. Number 2 in total speed rankings at road courses in the Cup Series since 2024. 5th in average finish in that span as well, 12.6. And he won 3 of 6 Xfinity races that he has entered since making that jump to Cup in 2020. In his last full-time Xfinity Series season at road courses, 1 win, 2 runner-ups in 4 races. So the big question I think everyone's going to have is it's this Jordan Anderson equipment that he's running this weekend, not the traditional JGR equipment that he's used to.
Mm-hmm. Sam Hunt Racing.
Sam Hunt. I'm sorry. But
okay.
like,
I wanted to give our bettors confidence because I know that, like I said, Austin Green and those guys in the JAR cars, Jeb Burton, doing pretty good, but I know Sam Hunt is maybe on a different level.
Yeah, Sam Hunt, I would say they're right there with Jordan Anderson is like average, right? Like they're average equipment. Corey Heim had 3 top 5s in 13 races last season in this equipment. Dean Thompson, so far this year, he has 4 top 10s and a respectable 16th place in points. And I don't think any of us are saying like Dean Thompson, the most talented guy in the world either. So it shows me this equipment isn't actually, dog crap like maybe a lot of people think it is. Christopher Bell is a better driver than both these guys. One of the best road course racers in the modern era. So I'm looking for him to just get a top 5 on Saturday. Let's move to Sunday with a 7-1 ticket on SVG come Sunday morning.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the idea of parlaying the SVG outright. And that's mainly because the number's so low and I didn't like what he put out there at COTA. Still ran pretty well, but I even swapped over to his in-car for a little bit and you could just tell he was frustrated. The car was not doing what it needed to do. Yeah. And that definitely gives me pause, but it has been a long time since then, Rod. We've seen the 88 car start to run better. Even on the ovals, 3 out of the last 4 weeks, he's finished top 20, which is arguably the benchmark for the 88 right now, and was running pretty well at Nashville, ran long on the pit strategy. That's the only reason it's not 4 top 20s in a row for SVG.
He wins at Chicago. Nobody had seen Chicago ever. He's very much in play to win this track where all things are considered equal, right? I mean, that's really what this is all about. This isn't so much an indictment on what he's done up until now. It's just we've seen this movie play out already on the track out there in Chicago. Granted, I know it's a street course, not a road course, but it's the type of discipline that SVG is more familiar with. So if you're going to level the playing field, I'm not high on his outright this week, but only because I have recency bias, and that's probably my blind spot, and that's fine because there's no reason why you shouldn't feel semi-confident that he can go out and run well this week, given that this is his comfort zone, right? So, I don't hate this at all. It's just I'm letting my blind spot lead me in the wrong direction this week, probably.
Yeah, I wouldn't even call it a blind spot. It's tough, though, because it was like March the 1st or something was the last time we were on road course. It's June 12th as we sit here, and it'll be mid-June by the time we get to the race. I understand that makes things difficult. You mentioned new tracks there, too. A guy who's been pretty good at new tracks and who's my long shot outright of the week, Joey Logano at 60-1.
Great number.
ESPN bet.
Great number.
And, like Hamlin before he was knocked out, and some guys that you normally would never see quite this far out are this far out. And for Joey Logano, it's justified. In the next gen, he's only 7 for 17 in road course or street course top 10s. I think that this team knows that it's unlikely they're going to have a shot to run up front all day. The last couple weeks, there hasn't been a lot of speed with this 22. Maybe they've kind of taken their foot off the pedal after locking themselves into the playoffs, knowing that they really only need to do well in 10 races at the end of the year, and this kind of doesn't matter. I think that can be a plus. There's a lot of talk this week about the elevation and what it can do to the cars, what it can do to the engine horsepower and things like that. I think that puts Logano and maybe a couple of these other guys with wins that are locked in. I hesitate to bring up a Josh Berry because he may be the worst road course driver on the circuit. But Logano is right in this thing here where I think they'll play it safe with the setup, with the engine, with everything in there that could give him an unexpected advantage if chaos comes to town. He's a guy that will make the laps, that generally probably won't make mistakes, that will be around in case the opportunity strikes. And that's what we see with Joey Logano. That's why he's a 3-time champion, is because he knows how to strike when the iron is hot. And like I said, the king of new track winners. It's been a couple of years, but he did win the inaugural events at the LA Coliseum, at the Bristol Dirt Track, and at Gateway Worldwide Technology Raceway, St. Louis, whatever in the world you want to call it. He won the inaugural race there too. This is a guy that, again, if you're looking at the long shots this week, you never know how chaotic things can get. They sure did at the Chicago Street Course last year. Joey Logano at this long number, definitely a guy to watch.
I mean, yeah, if you're going to be taking a long shot this week, I think this is it, right? Like, this is a guy, I think he's probably the last guy I think can actually win it. And at 60-1, I love that price tag, Elliot. Like, we've seen wonky things happen. I mean, Alex Bowman won Chicago last year.
Yeah,
so, like,
he had no business winning that race, and the front splitter was all tore to heck after running into Wallace. That car would not have won on dry tires and won it. Would not have won on dry tires, won it on the wet tires. And with a rain race in the schedule, you could see a similar sort of situation this weekend if the forecast doesn't work out in the schedule.
I don't know, Rod, if I've ever seen like longer outrights than for this race. Like Catherine Legg and Cody Ware, legit 2,000-1. I've never seen a Ty Dillon 1,000-1. Like these are crazy 750-1 for John Hunter Nemechek. These are crazy odds. So to find one here in Joey Logano that I think is a little more feasible is pretty cool. But like Bubba Wallace 200-1, that kind of might be a crazy number. That might actually be worth a look.
That's interesting. I think I might have even brought him up at COTA because I remember the sticking point of him running extra road course races when he first moved to 2311 because he was so terrible at road courses. But he's kind of gotten a little better. That might not be a bad one either.
Well, and if it comes down to fuel mileage, we know Joey Logano's got the biggest fuel tank in the entire garage, so.
That too. He's a guy that knows how to strike when the iron is hot. If you're going to go with a long shot, and Logano maybe shouldn't even be a long shot, I like the 22 car if chaos reigns.
What does elevation do to the fuel mileage? Anyone know? Like, I've never really been at like steep elevation, so I don't know.
There's the whole thing about thinning things out, and I don't know. You gotta
right.
Yeah. Scientific folks out there can explain it better than
I'm sure every engineer in the Cup and Xfinity garage has been working on this ever since it's been announced to make sure that they were set.
Well, and what is it like? If you live at elevation and you go to like sea level, you can get hammered off like 5 beers. I've heard too.
Yeah, and it's been a big thing for the drivers too. There's stories that have come out about guys in the Toyota camp, Tyler Reddick and others that have been sleeping in
hammered for 5 beers. Oh, no.
Maybe we'll have to see. Maybe we could get one of them to come out at Pocono and drink with us. But about sleeping in these chambers and adjusting themselves to the high altitude. Because it is going to be a struggle. If you haven't done the training, which again, these guys are top level, I'm sure they have, it can be really difficult. Mexico City, I think, is almost 8,000 feet above sea level. The highest above sea level in tracks in the U.S. are Vegas and Pocono, both at about 1,800 feet above sea level. So big difference.
This was about 7,500. So
7,500. Okay, I knew it was somewhere in that 7,000-8,000 range.
Elliot, before we move on to some placement props here, I did want to shout out a couple poll results, if that's okay. First one we put up before we started here tonight. Who will win the NASCAR Mexico City Cup Series race? 44% of y'all said other. So not Tyler Reddick, who got the highest votes out of all the drivers, 33%. SVG only 11%. So not a lot of love for our savior out there, SV Jesus. And then Christopher Bell 11%. I'm sure Marcus is in on that as well, skewing that. But and then do you clap after a plane lands? No. 66%. Yes, especially these days, 33%. And depends, I guess, 0%. So appreciate you guys weighing in on there, and glad to see I'm not the only one clapping these days. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, and that makes sense. We have 2 out of 3 on the show probably wouldn't clap, and Seth, you're the clapper. So we'll go with that, and we'll move ahead to our placement props too. Rod, you have the highest placement prop of the week, so we'll start with you.
Yeah, it's Daniel Suarez. And honestly, you can pretty much just use the whole narrative of this being Mexico City. But look, Daniel Suarez, quietly one of the decent enough guys on road courses altogether. He does have that win at Sonoma. So you can pretty much just say, yes, he's got a road win. And as we talk about the fact that you put Sonoma, you put Watkins Glen, you put some of these true road courses on the comparable list, right? I'm not really counting the Roval. I'm not counting the Indy Grand Prix or anything like that. But, overall, Daniel Suarez, not a terrible road course racer. 33 starts. He's got 6 top 10s. That's the rough part that it goes about it. But, like I said, that Sonoma, you got a top 10 there. You got a win there as well. Watkins Glen, he's got 3 top 10 finishes in 7 starts, 3 top 5 finishes also in those starts. Now, granted, they all pretty much came with either the 19, and he's got 1 top 5 in the 99. But he's also going to be running the Xfinity race. He's also going to have those extra laps from the night before, right? So he can kind of get a lay of the track and a little bit of studying before he jumps into his cup car. So I think a lot of that is I'm not asking him to win this race. It'd be fantastic if all the piñatas in the entirety of Mexico City are just broken by the morning. But I think a nice solid top 3 run for him, especially at plus 470. Like, this is not something that Daniel Suarez cannot do. There are some race car drivers that you pick and you're like, all right, well, this will be a very, very long shot. He may not even get this done. He may not even finish in the top 10. This is something Daniel Suarez can do. And I think at almost 5-1 for this in his home track, right? Altitude. He's been here before. He obviously knows how to deal with it. I think this is a really good number for Daniel Suarez. So yeah, top 3 plus 470.
Seth, we were talking about this a little bit before the show, that we were kind of sniffing around for ways to get Daniel Suarez on our card, and neither of us could really find it.
No, and I know we want to stay in placement props, but to answer this, I think I just have to go to the fact if we can jump over to my matchups, because
yes, no problem with hopping around. We make the rules.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Look, man, I just think Daniel Suarez is extremely overvalued simply because we are in his home country this weekend. I mean, 14-1 for Daniel Suarez on an outright, that's a joke. That is a joke to me. Like, this is actually not a terrible top 3 number. But let's keep in mind, Daniel Suarez has never driven the road course here at Hermanos Rodríguez, and he only driving that 1 mile oval. So I just don't think that he's worth the bite this week. And I'm going to first fade him against Chris Buescher in a head-to-head minus 115. It's a pick 'em at ESPN bet. I'm going 5 units on it. I'm all in on fading mi amigo here this weekend. Buescher 5th in the projection, Suarez 17th. I think it's a gift from the gambling gods. And at our only road courses this season, Coda, the Bushwhacker, was pretty mid for his standards. 11th in average running position, 15.6, 8th in driver rating, but still finished 7th. That made 4 of 6 road courses top 10 finishes for Buescher since 2024. Average finish for 9.6 in that span, second to only McNasty. Suarez, on the other hand, 0 top 10s in this span since 2024 on road courses. Average finish 20.8, 3 finishes a P30 or worse. I will say at Coda, pretty nice run going. Top 6 in total speed, taken out by Trackhouse teammate Connor Zillish, so bad luck there. Buescher, though, 7th in road course total speed rankings since 2024. Suarez, 16th in that time. Buescher, 5-1 against him in that span. So I just think it's crazy that we're going to pick 'em price for Chris Buescher against Daniel Suarez. I'm fading mi amigo this weekend. I just think it's overvalued, and I don't hate that top 3 line that Rod threw out. I could be totally wrong. And the elevation and the home crowd, it could all play into him. I think it gets into his head a little bit and cause a little more nerves and success this weekend for me, Elliot.
Yeah, I think you're right about him being overvalued, and I think Chris Buescher being undervalued. Will jump around again and get to one of my placement props, which is Chris Buescher for a top 5 plus 230 on FanDuel. I think Buescher is the most underrated road course driver in the next gen. I feel like that he hasn't even gotten enough flowers for what he did, especially at Watkins Glen last fall, out-dueling SVG on the last lap, getting that win. Big time add to his resume there. In the next gen, he's the only driver better than Van Gisbergen in average finish, 7.9 average finish in the next gen, 7th best total speed ranking on the road courses, top 10 in 6 out of 7 and 13 out of 16 road courses. Honestly, I thought he was going to be higher than 5th in the model. This 17 car certainly could be a contender for the win. I feel a lot safer with his top 5 number, or maybe even a top 10 number, which I think is in the minus money. And with Suarez, the road course numbers, like I said, he's had a couple of good runs. His most recent top 10 at a road course, or maybe most recent top 5, but most recent really good finish was Indianapolis 2023 when Michael McDowell took the win, ran 3rd that day. Since then, we haven't really seen Suarez run up front, but I'm interested and I love it for the vibes. but I just
It's
don't think the on-track stats. The on-track stats give both of us pause. I'm not going to argue against the number. It's just not something I'm willing to jump on, Ron.
Yeah, well, and look, here's the thing, right? So Chris Buescher can finish second, Daniel Suarez can finish third, and we can all be happy.
I mean, that'd be great. And then Joey Logano wins and cashes me a big outright. How's that? So, Seth, you have one other matchup while we're still on the topic of Suarez, yeah?
Yes. So let's go ahead there. I'm going to fade him again. Even more loco is getting Ross Chastain at even money, at an even money dog against his teammate in the 99. Ross is right behind Buescher, 6th in the projections this week. At Coda this season, 8th in average running position, 12.4, 7th in driver rating as well. And that was after a terrible start where it was like all JoJo the circus clown on turn 1, trying to cut everyone off and takes out Chase Elliott. Disaster of a start, still had a good run, still screwed us on the top 10 that we were trying to chase that day. But regardless, at road courses since 2024, Ross Chastain, 5th in total speed rankings, 10th in average finish, 14.2. Also, 5-1. Again, just like Chris Buescher, 5-1 against mi amigo in that span at road courses. So I'm all in on Chastain over Suarez. And I do have to point out this comment. Did you get Buescher, Bob? Our guy Bob Bodner here in the chat saying he got Buescher 30-1. Sign me up. I bet Chris Buescher almost every week this year, Elliot. And if this is the week he wins, I'd be really happy about it. But I've only found him 17-1, the best available at FanDuel right now.
Yeah, and I almost wonder if he was bringing up Buescher's top 5. The best I could find it out was plus 230. Maybe he was able to grab it at plus 300. I'm assuming that's what he's referring to. Bob, let us know, because if there is if there's a Buescher at 30-1, I'll turn off my camera and go better.
Oh, 14-1. 14-1. Okay.
Cool.
Okay, makes sense. I don't know where the 300 came from, but regardless, we love you, Bob. We appreciate you, man. Elliot, do we have any more placement props anyone has to throw out?
Yeah, so I know you have an extra top 5 if you want to talk about it, and then we have a couple top 10s we can touch on quick, but up to you.
Yeah, real quick. Carson Hocevar top 5. I gave Elliot a lot of crap for placing this same bet last week, but I think you got it, maybe plus 350, somewhere in that range. So I really like it here at plus 420 on FanDuel. I've seen it for as low as plus 240. Next best line is plus 350. So I think we're getting some major value on Hocevar. Season high, 9th in the projections this weekend. I'm going about a half a unit on this one. 9th in average running position at Coda, 13.2, 11th in driver rating that day. He's about 14th in road course total speed rankings, 8th in road course average finish since entering the Cup Series. So while I think stretching it for a top 5, it's probably not going to hit, but it's the value I'm down here. And Hocevar has 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s this season. So if he finishes this race where he should, and he's running up front, he's going to be a top 5 car. But if not, he's going to finish 33rd. And if you fade in matchups like I did last week, you're going to be very happy.
Yeah, man. And that's my problem with Hocevar, is he'll have the speed. And if he finishes where he should, then it's great. But if ifs and buts,
it's all or nothing.
If ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, Rod. I'm more on your side with Hocevar this week.
I'm legally obliged to just not talk about Hocevar anymore. My stance on him is well documented. No, look, I'm not. There's no way Hocevar is going to finish this race in any sort of position to be anywhere near the front. So I will refrain from not only betting on Carson Hocevar, but talking about him for the rest of the night.
I just love average running position. I'm a sucker for average running position, and he has a great one lately, it seems like, man.
Where's the finishes, though? Where's the finishes?
Yeah, we need him.
Right. And he's been solid. McDowell, his teammate's been solid. Who hasn't been solid over at Spire's Justin Haley. I'm saying this is a week where he can turn it around. Plus 1,100 for a top 10 over on FanDuel. And Haley has been a guy, again, he's worth a long shot on a decent road course racer on a team that does have speed. Of course, Hocevar is the talk of the garage. McDowell, good road course driver as well. I feel like some of that has got to bleed over to the 7 car at some point, especially because Haley has been decent at road courses himself. He's not quite as high in the model as those other 2 guys, but he's 21st, which is better than this team has been running. He's got a couple okay finishes on the road courses. P16 at Coda earlier this year, which might be his best finish of the year. It's got to be up there with how the 7 team is run. 3 previous road course top 10s in the past, both in the Colleague 31 and in the Spire 77 way back in the day. In terms of next-gen stuff, he was course P2 at the Chicago Street Course in 2023, getting passed by Van Gisbergen late in the race, and in the 2022 Roval in the Colleague equipment that we know is probably better than Spire on road courses, or at least equal. He was P5 in that race and ran pretty well. Haley, it's just one of those deals where I do think he's the 3rd Spire car, but I feel like something's got to give. The speed is there with the team. They're working it out, and in a plus 1100 for a top 10 with the chaos factor and with the Haley's okay at road course factor. This is my long shot placement prop of the week.
I kind of dig it, man. 18.1 average running position at Coda earlier this season. Like he's a top 20 card. If chaos happens, Justin Haley could find himself in the mix like he did at Chicago just a couple years ago, Rod.
I like Haley for a top 10 better than I like Carson Hocevar to finish 30th. So Bob says he thinks drivers are afraid of him and that Hocevar's fast no matter where he's been running lately. Well, thankfully he's been running in the back. So
he's been running
at the end of the race.
He's had the speed, certainly. We got one more placement prop from you, Seth, before we move further down the board.
Yeah, fire me up a little. Todd Gilliland, first time getting the Todd Gilliland camp this season. I mean, this guy, he was a talking point last year when we went to Pocono, Elliott, because he was on this string of top 20 runs. He couldn't be denied. And he's finally back up in the projections a little bit where he's bettable. 16th coming in this week, finished top 10 at Coda earlier this season. That was his third top 10 in the 6 road course races since 2024. So if you're telling me that I can bet a guy at 9-1 to finish top 10 who's done it about 50% of the time in the last year, giddy up, boys, giddy up. He has the 5th best average finish in that span, 12.2 at road courses, popped up last year at Chicago. So maybe with circumstances also a little bit strange in this race, maybe we see him pop up. Hard to pass up Todd Gilliland, 9-1 at FanDuel when he's going off for as low as 3-1 at MGM. Next best number I found him 5-1. So love what FanDuel's throwing out there. Thank you very much, boys.
Now, I absolutely love this one. I'm with you on this one 100%.
Squad ride.
9-1. Once I saw 9-1, I was like, there's no way a guy that finished top 10 at least, in the recent history should be 9-1. So I love that.
It's a great number, and it's got our Tyler Ankrum math, Rod. If a guy's going to punch you in the face 6 out of 10 times, he'll probably do it again.
Doc.
All right, Rod. So you have 2 more cut bets before we move on to the Xfinity Series. Let's start off with your matchup, continuing to roll with your guy AJ Allmendinger.
Yeah. So really, honestly, I'm not gonna hit you with a ton of stats on this one because this is just a kind of a gut handicap right here. AJ Allmendinger, if I think he's going to be a race-winning car, obviously he is going to finish better than Chase Elliott. And it's not to say that Chase Elliott is not a good road racer. Hell, he's one of the best road racers that we've seen in the recent history, right? But next gen stuff has gone wonky for this. When we talk about stage breaks, when we talk about stage points, like we saw Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott just totally kind of give away a race at Sonoma a couple of years ago to Daniel Suarez because of all of this strategy that they had to play. And where are you more likely to take the chances to win stage points rather than win a race? On a track you've never been on before, right? There's a lot of gremlins that can jump up and grab Chase Elliott, whereas AJ Allmendinger, yeah, you're racing for all of the same things that these guys are, but realistically speaking, you just need to win a race, right? And what better place for AJ Allmendinger to win a race than here, right? So that team is going to be going for the win. They're not going to care about stage points. They're not going to care about. They're going to be the first one to flip the stage. So for me, like I said, if I think AJ Allmendinger is going to win the race, he's going to beat Chase Elliott. So give me Allmendinger over Elliott minus 115, especially at this coin flip. I mean, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's a really good point too with Chase Elliott. I mean, they've only done it once in the last couple of years, win on an oval. But even with his road course pedigree, Hendrick is going to think they're going to have a chance to win every week with all 4 of their cars, even though that never happens. With the 16 car and Allmendinger, they know the road courses are their shot. They're close in the points, but they're not close enough to not go for road course wins.
Yeah, I think it's actually a pretty good bet here. We have Dinger 8th in the projections. We have Elliott 13th. And like if you're betting Elliott, you're betting that AJ blows up or wrecks or something, because I guarantee AJ is going to have probably the better average running position most of the day. I think he'll be in front of Elliott. That's like the thing with these Chase Elliott matchups that like if you're hitting them like I did last week, you're not going to feel good betting it. You're not going to have fun watching the race and have him running 10th to 19th most of the race, and then he maybe pit strategy gets him up into the top 5 like it did last week. He takes the lead, but for the most part, I do expect AJ Allmendinger to be better here. You just really got to hope the equipment holds up at elevation. That's what I'm afraid of, is the equipment at elevation.
Yeah, and I was looking for ways to kind of fade Chase Elliott this week, but his road course numbers, even though he hasn't gotten a win in a while, they're a little better than I realized in the next gen. So Allmendinger and Elliott will be a little closer than we think. But I do like this one. And I like your last bet too, Rod, which in my opinion just looks like another way to bet on AJ Allmendinger and make money.
Well, it's a way to do a lot of things and make money. Winning car number under 19.5 plus 165.
Ooh.
This is the Christopher Bell line, right? This is if you believe that Christopher Bell is going to win this race, do not bet the under. Or if you want to hedge on whether or not Christopher Bell or, of course, SVG, right? Like these are the two bigger guys that are on top of this. But I mean, you get road course guys like Kyle Larson, you get Ross Chastain, you get all kinds of
Buescher, Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch. Well, I was going to get to Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
This is my
Ty Dillon and Austin Dillon.
You get Ty Dillon, you get Austin Dillon. I mean, you get the Dillons, right? I mean, there's a lot of folks that you get on the other side of this 19.5 line that and Chris Buescher as well. If you're not really solid on whether Chris Buescher is going to win, then here's your Chris Buescher bet. So there's so many bullets underneath this because over it is, Christopher Bell, it's Joey Logano, it's William Byron. Like you get these guys, but they're not guys that you feel confident are going to win this race. So I like the selection we get under 19.5 at plus 165.
I'd like this a lot more if SVG was running the number 8 instead of the 88. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, it's a hedge against the favorites, SVG, Tyler Reddick, and Chris Bell. So I can't go there, but I do love the number because you are getting a lot of guys right below there, like you said, Busch, Buescher, Chastain, Dinger, Chase, and Kyle Larson, of course.
And Ryan Truex. There's your Ryan Truex bet.
Perfect. There's how to get money on Ryan Truex. That's it for our Cup Series numbers. We've each got some Xfinity Series bets, so we'll round out the night with those. I've got to start with a guy who has way better road course numbers than I thought, and a guy who I really considered for an outright this week, but I'm going to take him at a top 5 because of what the numbers are. His outright is at 28-1, where I saw it, and I think that's a good number. He also has a matchup against Sheldon Creed, where he's the even money underdog in it, and I think those are both pretty good. The last 2 years at road courses for Austin Hill, if you exclude Watkins Glen, so that's every other road course, including ones that aren't on the schedule anymore, your Road Americas and your Indy road courses, and one other that I can't think of, 7 for 12 for top 5s and 11 for 12 for top 10s.
Ooh.
We normally do not think of Austin Hill as a guy. We think of him, he's the super speedway merchant. He's the guy who's going to run like crap everywhere else. Austin Hill is a top-notch, underrated road course driver. Him for a top 5 at plus 350. Definitely worth a bet this weekend. Maybe my favorite bet of the entire week.
I do love that though, because again, if you watch a couple seasons ago, especially, it was Allgaier, it was Creed, it was all these guys, and Austin Hill was up there, right? I mean, it was Sam Mayer even at some points, but Austin Hill was there, and I do love this at top 5.
I'm actually gonna go try to bet his top 10 line right now. I didn't realize. I mean, minus 150 top 10.
Yeah, the top 10 line was pretty good. And like I said, the outright is far enough because you have your Ziliches and Suarez with an inflated number and guys like that in the race. Chris Bell, if he's able to get past all the cup ringers, a 28-1 on a guy like Hill is a heck of a number. I don't remember if I put a sprinkle on that or not, but I definitely went heavy on the top 5.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Nick in the chat saying he likes Eckes for the Xfinity race. John, no way Dinger beats Elliott. John, who's your favorite driver? I want to hear, man. Are you a Chase Elliott guy? And then Bob saying I like AJ better than Elliott, and that's crazy. So a lot of discourse in the chat.
Dude,
Love
it
it,
crazy
man.
when we're making lefts and rights. I can tell you that. AJ Allmendinger.
Hey, and Eckes too, driving that to colleague equipment, which we know is fantastic, right? On road courses, AJ Allmendinger drove the hell out of it, so can't hate that either.
Yeah, Eckes top 10 at Coda as well. I saw, so yeah, don't hate that. Yeah, good pull here, Elliott.
Yeah, no doubt. So you guys both each have top 5s. Seth, you talked about yours a little bit earlier. Up to you if you want to go over the Chris Bell situation again.
No, rewind about 30 minutes, 25 minutes, whenever I talked about Chris Bell top 5 in that parlay. At DraftKings, I took it for that parlay, minus 115, but it's even money, ESPN bet. Love Christopher Bell, one of the most talented road course racers. Not the worst equipment here as well. So, yeah, I'm going to take that number 24 car. Looking good in that Mobile One scheme as well. Like it. So, Rod, over to you.
Yeah, it is going to look nice. Rod, I was just going to mention that I like this bet a lot, and it was somebody that I totally forgot about how he ran at Coda until I saw this bet.
You nailed it 100%. Yeah, he ran well at Coda, was in position to actually possibly get the win in this one in Coda, but obviously he's youthful and he made a mistake and he shuffled him all the way back in the field. But Carson Quapple, right? Top 5 plus 325. We 100% know that JRM equipment is always good on road courses. We talk about guys that like Justin Allgaier. John Ray wanted to know what Justin Allgaier's odds are to win this race. 18-1 to win this race, by the way, but only because Zilich, Gibbs, and Suarez and Bell are in this one. But again, if we think JRM is going to be good on this track, and Carson Kvapil, Connor Zilich, both of these guys, in my mind, especially in road course now, because we didn't think Carson Kvapil would be as good a road course racer as we saw in COTA, but he proved that he could be up there in the front. Granted, he did make a small mistake that kind of cost him it, but I think he learned from that, and I think he's going to be battling for a top 5 position. I'm not asking him to win the race. I just want him to not make a big a mistake as he did in COTA and finish inside the top 5 at plus 325.
I think it's a good bet. I like Austin Hill and Kvapil for top 5s. But if Hill is my favorite bet of the week, this might be my second favorite bet of the week. Nick brought him up in the chat. This is a guy that I wanted the Xfinity top 10 market all last year just for this cat. Austin Green on the road courses. He is an underrated road course ringer. The ovals haven't gone well for him this year. And, he's DNQ'd a couple places, had a couple things that didn't work out. And COTA didn't work out for him this year earlier. Some mechanical issues in that. Jordan Anderson, number 32. But this cat has got the road course pedigree to run well, especially on a new course, because the guys who have the experience in the road courses, Trans Am and things like that, they're going to be more inclined to run well. Last season, P7 at COTA. I think that was his Xfinity debut. P4 at Sonoma, P10 at Chicago, P11 at Watkins Glen. And I was on that top 5 number, I think every one of those road courses after Sonoma. I wanted this bet all last year, Austin Green, top 10 on the road course. I finally got it. Plus 450 is the best number that I could find it at. I'm all on board with this kid, Austin Green, on the road courses. Every week that we're on, making lefts and rights at Xfinity, right? Just pencil me in for this Austin Green top 10.
I'm here for it, man. A lot of love in the chat from it. Bob saying Green is good at road courses. Nick shouting him out as well. So yeah, I'm with you there, man. That he's one that I was looking at. Wasn't great earlier this season at the road course, but I think he could bounce back here. So
they ran into some sort of mechanical issues or pit stop issues. I couldn't figure out exactly what it was earlier today, but it was not the best race for them.
John asking odds on Gator, 18-1 for you, John, is what he is on the outright. I'll round this out here with my top 10 for the Xfinity Series. Josh Bilicki, 10-1, ESPN bet. I went about 0.4 of a unit in the SS Greenlight equipment. Maybe, is he in for Garrett Smithley? Is that who he's in for? I
believe so.
Okay. So last year at Xfinity on road courses, in the Xfinity Series on road courses, average finish 16.4, 2 top 10s. His last 2 road courses of the season, one with JGR and one with DGM Racing, he hit a top 10. Just feels like a long number for a guy who is better than the rest of the back markers where he's ranked against.
Yeah, it's a good bet. He's got the Spanish sponsorship on the car. Bilicki, another underrated guy. I just think this equipment is not quite to where we need it to be to really consider a top 10, but a 10-1, I don't hate it at all.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Hasn't stopped me from betting a Garrett Smithley top 10 here and there. So
well, hey, you were on Chris Wright at Daytona, so I'm never going to let you live that one down.
Yeah,
but that wraps us up for the week bets wise. If you want to see some F1 and Indy numbers as well as other numbers that we have throughout the weekend, you can join the IBT Racing Family Discord, $3.99 a month or $36 for the year. Gives you entry into our memorabilia giveaways. Congrats again to Trav for winning the Joey Logano polo. You can get the conversation with us, and you can get into the fun that we're going to have next week as Seth and I will be boots on the ground with content at Pocono Raceway. 3rd year running that we will be there. Shout out to everyone at the Tricky Triangle for helping us make it happen. It's the most fun weekend of the year, Seth. I can't wait to get out there.
Yeah, dude, we got a squad rolling up too. Nicolette's coming out for it. We'll have Eric with us as well. So a lot of content coming from the track, a couple bonus episodes of the Backroad that you can expect that weekend. And again, if we can get to one more new member in the IBT Racing family after Pocono, if we can get that, we're going to have boots on the ground coverage for you. We'll give away a little McNasty giveaway for it afterwards. So looking forward to it, boys. Easiest way to support us. So if you don't want to join the IBT Racing family, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the whole channel. We appreciate y'all.
Shout out to our 3rd member of the crew as well, Rod Villagomez. Best ways to support him, NASCAR Gambling Podcast and SoYouLikeSports.com. Shout out to everyone in the IBT Racing family, everyone in this particular family in this chat. Thank you for rolling on down the back road with us this week and every week. And we will see you next week for real from Pocono Raceway. Good luck this weekend. Viva la Mexico.